What is up, guys, and welcome back. Another episode of Warehouse Beats, number 25. We are doing The House, or just House. I guess just House, right?
Yeah.
1985 House. So this movie, Andrew, you guys have talked about this movie for quite some time, and I admit that I actually never watched it until the other night for this video.
Oh, so you're being cultured just a little bit.
I'm being cultured just a little bit, and I love horror movies. I love 80s movies, and this one just escaped me for whatever reason.
And this is one of our favorite things. This is a horror comedy, much in the same vein as like Evil Dead 2 or something like that. I get those vibes from this movie a lot.
For sure.
This was before that, a year before that movie.
Yeah, this is definitely that. This is interesting. For one, we've got a lot of good actors, a lot of well-known actors in this pretty well. It's a Sean S. Cunningham produced film. It's directed by Steve Miner, who's fresh off of Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3. And who else? We got Harry Manfredini, who scored the Friday movies, scored this movie.
Kane Hodder. I think he's in the bag whenever Roger Cobb's hitting him with the shovel.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he did a little stunt work on this.
Yeah.
I think what did I say? I think it was like a $3 million budget.
Yeah.
I want to say. And it made $22 million at the box office, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
For a 1985 horror flick, horror comedy flick. So do you want to run down the plot real quick?
Yeah. In-house, you have William Cott playing Roger Cobb, and he's basically kind of this universe is Stephen King. He writes horror novels and is pretty well known, but he's fallen on hard times in his personal life. His son has disappeared, and it set forth a chain of events with his wife, who's a well-known, I believe she was like a daytime
actress
or actress or something.
Yeah, something like that.
She left him in the wake of this. His aunt, who raised him in this house, has committed suicide in the upstairs room.
Yeah, hung herself.
Yeah, hung herself. And so
she's quite a bit older.
With all this going on in his personal life, he's developed this writer's block. Yeah. And so he was going to sell this house, and he decides, no, I'm going to go up there and get away. And pretty soon he starts hearing his son in the house. All these strange things start happening. Monsters start coming out of closets at him. He's having Vietnam PSD flashbacks, and pretty soon you want me to spoil it for everybody, kind of what goes on, or
might as well. We'll go ahead. If you guys don't want to listen to spoilers, go ahead and click off the video and come back after you watch this movie. We highly recommend the movie anyway. Yeah. So now let's go ahead.
Basically, his friend Big Ben in Vietnam, they were buddies on foot patrol, and he ends up getting shot and tells Roger to kill him. He doesn't do it. The Viet Cong get him and torture him for weeks, and he puts a curse on him. He said, "I'll get you for this, Roger." And he's the one, who the house ended up coming alive, and he took the little boy, and who's in like another dimension. And so it's all set forth by Big Ben, who becomes the major villain in this thing.
And you can kind of see him in our background here. He looks kind of like a badass.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Eddie on the Iron Maiden covers.
He does. Yeah. He really does. Yeah.
But I really like the prosthetics in that. I thought they did a very good job. But that's the basic plot of House. And I have a lot of fun with it, man. There's a lot of humor in this. I made it sound real creepy and scary. There are a few scares, but there's a lot of laughs in this too.
Yeah, I liken it to it's kind of that cross between Poltergeist was more of that family horror. That you could, it had its scary, dark moments, but it wasn't, other than maybe a couple scenes, it really wasn't as intense. If you watch it nowadays as compared to others, as some movies back then were, or even especially now. But this is kind of like that, but a little bit funny, like Evil Dead, like Evil Dead, really. What's your, you want to talk about pros and cons?
Yeah, I like all the actors in it, and I like a lot of the interpersonal dynamics. Whenever Roger meets Harold, played by George Wendt, Norm from Cheers.
Yeah, Norm.
Yeah, and he talks about the old hag that owned this house before and just how horrible she was. He's like, oh, that was Heart of Gold.
yeah, Heart of Gold.
It does the 180.
Real nice lady, yeah.
Some of the dialogue in this is really good.
Yeah, and there's scenes too where it gets pretty wild, man. The house really starts to turn on him, and he starts seeing this stuff that he thinks is real, and for a little bit you think might be real. You know, he kills this hag who his wife shows up, turns into this hag. He ends up shooting her with a shotgun on the front porch. She turns back into his wife, and he's like, "Oh no!" And George went Harold across the street doesn't see that, but he hears the gunshots and he looks over and he's holding a gun. He thinks he's crazy already. He thinks it's suicide, so he calls the cops, reports the suicide. And one of the cops,
heat of the night.
I'd say one of the cops was Alan Audrey, right?
Yeah,
yeah, Bubba from In the Heat of the Night.
The other cop was in the X-Files, and then Jason Goes to Hell. Just really good actors.
Yeah, like a lot of well-known actors in this for the time, especially. The guy William Catt, that plays the main guy. He was in Carrie.
Yeah,
he was Tommy in Carrie, the one that took her to the dance.
Yeah, he was really good in this.
He was.
He takes you through the whole range of emotions. You
crazy
feel for him in the beginning, and then he's slowly unraveling mentally. And I really enjoyed his character in this.
I thought it was kind of funny. I didn't really. I think it was funny how he cut off the hag's head and was burying her in the yard, and the body was in that body bag. And then when he finally shoots off the hot neighbor lady, you look up and you realize he's done this before. There's holes everywhere. He's been digging holes and been planting shit in there.
Yeah,
and I really liked the effects in this movie. The hag was really atrocious. It was almost goofy. It kind of reminded me of Gremlins or something weird. It took me out of it a little bit, but it is a horror comedy, so I try not to be too hard on it.
I'll go ahead and get into cons. That was one of my cons. I felt like they showed it too much, and it wasn't the best effect to be showing. That whole
the voiceover work was a little bit it wasn't creepy. It was like annoying.
Yeah, it's like that high pitched
laugh, and it's weird.
That whole middle part of this movie is the only real con I have with it. The part where the whole hag and how that was handled, and then the babysitter stuff, which was just awkward.
It was so out of place, I thought, because in the backyard when she comes out of the pool or whatever, and she meets him, and she's in that bathing suit, she looks hot, whatever, and she comes up and she's trying to hit on him a little bit. Hey, we should do something sometime. He blows her off because he's busy with burying the hag. So she shows up all done up with her kid at night or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, I have a date. Will you watch my son? I know I can count on you."
Yeah.
You were just hitting on him in the yard.
Yeah.
I don't understand this.
Do you want to play?
And now you want to go on a date and leave your son who just met this guy? It's weird. I don't know. Yeah. And like I said, it just took it out a little bit.
That was the only part, that whole little 25 minute segment of this movie that I didn't really care for. The rest of it
was good. It's solid.
Very solid. And I love all the other dimension stuff where you've got George Wendt and him, and they're there at the closet door, and they got all the cameras going, and at one point Harold is passed out drunk, and the thing's coming out after him. I really like that. I really like the part where he busts the hole through the medicine cabinet, and you see the portal through the other dimension. He's throwing stuff in. You hear water. I thought that was handled really well.
Yeah, I do too. I agree. I liked everything, like you said. Other than that 25 minutes, I liked everything. It was good. The score was good. Acting was good. It takes you up and down through the range of emotions. The effects were amazing. Richard Mole was great. Those flashback scenes in Vietnam was great. All the stuff with him, with Big Ben at the end, was great. It was kind of terrifying in a way. Obviously, he finds his son, and you figure out the house did take his son, and like the aunt said, and the aunt warned them after the son disappearance. They had those flashbacks where the aunt warned them that the house is haunted, and of course that also led to the wife freaking out and taking off. And at the end you get the happy ending. He saves the son. They defeat Big Ben with his grenade, and which I thought was cool. And they head outside. The wife's there, and they all kind of reconcile and live happily ever after. You can start over again.
Yeah. I really, it's a feel good movie in that regard, because the entire time, this is haunted house thing, and how's he going to get his son back? He's like in another dimension somewhere.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I like the music, like you said in this. I like the 50s stuff that they did.
I,
The,
I do
the little
too.
montages.
I do too. Um, I don't really know what else to say. I had a fun time watching it. I'm glad. I'm glad I did finally. I don't know why it took me this long. I guess it just slipped past me, like I said. But definitely would watch this thing again.
Yeah.
Out of five, Warehouse B scale. Where do you rate this?
3 3/4
Yeah,
out of 5. I don't think it's quite a 4. I think that middle part drags it down just a little bit for me.
yeah. I
But
was gonna say 3.5, but 3 3/4 is good too. Somewhere around in there.
yeah,
I would give it. It's definitely worth the watch. It does drag it down. It's probably not enough. It's not enough, obviously, to keep me from watching the movie again.
yeah,
But
yeah. It's one I watch about once a year. I have a lot of
yeah,
fun with it. I've not seen any of the sequels. I might have to. I hear the second one's fairly decent. Kenny
yeah,
says
well,
it's wild, so we might have to watch it down the line sometime.
yeah. We might have to do that and do an episode on it. Yeah, I think it's great. It was very surprising to me, and I'd probably add it to the list to watch at least once a year too now for
Yeah,
sure. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. It's going to be kind of a shorter video, but that's all right. Go watch this if you haven't already. If you have, let us know in the comments below what you think of it. Be sure to like and subscribe. What do we got coming up next on Warehouse B?
we've got a poll going on right now, which that we just put out like 2 or 3 days ago. So the jury's still out, but right now it looks like split second is probably in first place,
Rutger
Rutger
Hauer.
Hauer, which we've not really talked about a lot on here at all.
I'll be honest, I haven't even seen it,
Yeah, oh,
so
it's good.
I'm looking forward to seeing that too. So
Yeah,
if it does win,
yeah,
which
it's
I'm
it's
sure we're going to cover it regardless, I'm sure. But
I'm sure it's placed really high. The Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman, a martial arts Yakuza type movie, it's placed really high. So we'll see what happens. We'll call that poll in a few days. But yeah, we're definitely going to do split second for sure.
all right, well that's cool. That's something to look forward to. All right, so until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
We out of here.